Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay. All persons who stand bound by recognizance or otherwise having business before this ceremonial session may at present appear, and they shall be heard. The Honorable Theodore A. McKee, United States Circuit Judge, United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit, presiding. May God save the Commonwealth and this honorable court. Please be seated. Cease all conversation. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Your Honor. And good afternoon to all of you who have come here either to be sworn in or to witness the glorious ascension of your loved ones when they are sworn in to what will at least be a regular paycheck and hopefully a livelihood that they will love every day they pursue it. A couple of housekeeping matters. You may see a number of cameras around here. There's a reason for this. When you recruit people from all over the country and you bring them from far away, they have relatives, and those relatives may or may not be able to attend. And they have friends from the different schools they've gone to all around the country. And so what is occurring today is available to be live streamed. All of the attorneys who are about to be sworn in are aware, but let me just let all of you know in case there's someone else you need to text right away. If you type in Philadelphia's District Attorney's Office on YouTube, you'll be taken to the live stream. The new ADAs, we have already shared the link in the app GroupMe with you. So feel free to text, email, or to share what is occurring here on social media. The event will also be recorded for people who have day jobs and who would like to watch this later or hang on to it as part of their collection. Think of it as baby pictures for people who got older. Immediately after the swearing-in ceremony, there is a reception. It is close by. Do not get in a cab. You'll just get out the other side. It is at 30 South 15th Street, the Graham Building on the 15th floor, and we certainly hope that you will be joining us there. I think perhaps most importantly, though, this would be a good time for all of our attorneys who are about to be sworn in, both the ones who are fresh out of law school, which is most of them, and those who have a couple of years of experience under their belt, to let their families and friends, their partners, their high school buddies, their softball teammates who have all come here today, to let them know how much they appreciate all the support that they have received over the years to get them here. If you could please give the people who are here on your behalf a hand right now, they would appreciate it. All right, that's enough. So that everyone understands the sequence of events, I'll have some remarks, and then I will be introducing this large and wonderful class that we have here. When I introduce your name, if you would rise and remain standing, that would be great. I'll be reading a very brief blurb about your background as we do that, and then after you are already standing, the program will be turned over to Judge McKee, who will swear you in. After he swears you in, he'll let you sit down, and then he will have probably much more interesting remarks than mine, which I look forward to hearing, just as I did last year. And at that point, we will actually all head for the reception. But if I may then, there's a couple comments I would like to make. At the end of the oath that you will swear today, there is an expression. I've kind of cut it down because the language is arcane. But the expression is, I will never reject the cause of the oppressed. Now, for many of you, you could have made more money. You could have gone somewhere and made more money. You could have gone to big law. I'm sorry to tell you this, folks. They could have made more money. They could have gone to big law. They could have gone to do other types of work, but they chose to be here. And they chose to be here when they had all of these other opportunities before them, or could have had all these other opportunities before them. I believe there is a reason that your loved ones chose to be here. And that is this. We are in a crucial moment in our history. We are in a crucial moment in our culture, and they've chosen to be part of it. And as a result, I'm going to talk for a few minutes about what is occurring here as what I truly believe it is. I believe it is a movement. It's an important social movement, and it's important at a time when we need it. They have chosen to be freedom riders in the same way that people long ago, not so long ago, I guess, but in the 1960s and 70s, especially in the 60s, chose to go into the South and to do things that advanced our civilization and our country at that time. Let me talk to you for just a moment about who these folks you see sitting before you are. Well, as you can see, that's not necessarily every one of them, but that's an awful lot of them. They're a handsome group. They look pretty good. They look full of energy, and they come from all over. This is a map that shows the different law schools that they came from. Needless to say, many of them did not go to law school in the place of their birth. So they are truly representative of the geography and the culture of schools all across the country. That is what happens when you go looking for the best and the brightest. We have wonderful schools in Philadelphia, and they are extremely well represented here. But we also have wonderful schools around the country, and they are extremely well represented here, as will be noted when we go through each individual's history. Ultimately, we ended up with a class that was derived from a combination of going to 5 out of the 6 historically black college and university law schools. We tried for the 6th. They wouldn't let us in, maybe this year. And we also went to nearly all of the top 20 ranked schools in the country, in addition to our wonderful schools in Philadelphia. This is an iconic image. This is an image you recognize. This is what people saw when they observed a significant historical moment. This is the Mexico City Olympics in 1968. For those of you who don't know, it's a fascinating tale. I encourage you to take a look at it. But every one of these men paid a terrible price for what they did here, including the fellow in the front, who was effectively banned by his country from competition in the Olympics the next cycle, and the 2 men with their fists in the air, whose careers were devastated for decades. Eventually, they were able to come back around. The 2 men with their fists were pallbearers for the other. You don't see that struggle here. You see struggle, but you don't see that struggle here. And I say that for a reason. This is the image you see of Dr. King. This is what society sees of Dr. King. Or maybe they see something even grander. They see him receiving the Nobel Prize, decked out in a tuxedo or tails. But his world, and the world of the activists and the people who are in the movement, who create the change, looks different from their side. This is his side. This is what King saw. That's his little paper cup right there next to him, probably full of water, because his throat hurts, because King spoke how many times a day? In fact, his throat hurts a little bit like mine hurts right now. He spoke how many times a day? Those are his handwritten notes, if you can see the original photo. There's arrows. He circles things. He scribbles things. He's probably straining to see what he scribbled in the corner. Not so simple. You know this man as a holiday. You know him as a stamp. You know him as an icon. But is that what that looked or felt like when he was in it? These are freedom riders, the real deal. Yes, they exist. It's not just a phrase. These are folks getting on buses, going to places far away from where they were raised or where they were educated so that they can bring people the right to vote, among other things, in areas where otherwise they would not have it. And this is how they were sometimes treated. If you look in the background, you'll see National Guard, probably there to protect them, from other people who are not there to protect them. And you will see that we have these bright-eyed, talented people who are singing. They're singing together. They have to do that. It's going to get rough. That's how rough it was going to get. This is when one of the Freedom Riders buses was bombed. The people outside of the bus are people who have fled from the bus in order to be safe, to save their own lives. And this is what they were doing, not for themselves, but they were doing for others. What does a movement look like? Well, it looks like a lot of this. it looks like people who are not dressed up in tails to receive the Nobel Prize and are a little worn out, a little tired, who are planning, trying to figure out what to do. The man in the left, the one with the overalls, that is James Foreman Sr. For those of you who may have read one of the classic books of criminal justice reform recently, it was written by his son, James Foreman Jr. Just so we all understand what I'm talking about, James Foreman Jr. is a professor of law at Yale. He is the author of a book called Locking Up Our Own, which is a study of mass incarceration and how it happened, and the politics around how it happened. And this is his father, a Korean war vet, who became the head of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and a very close ally of Martin Luther King, even though they didn't necessarily always agree. They are trying to figure it out, and they're not going to make all the right decisions, and they're going to have difficult ones to make, just like all of you will. Do you see the look on Dr. King's face? Does he look serene? Does he look like he has all the answers? Does he look just as wise and eloquent as we all imagine him? Or does he look like he's having to make some pretty tough decisions in a pretty tough place? And you will see to his right the same man you just saw, James Foreman Sr. in those overalls that were, among other things, an emblem of the Poor People's March and one of the late developments in Dr. King's advocacy, the advocacy for poor people. There's Foreman again, and he is with a current member of Congress. Perhaps you'll recognize him. I'll just leave you with that hint. I'm sure you can figure it out. So when they stop your bus, sometimes you got to walk. And sometimes the walk is not so easy. The walk within movements is something that has been around for a long time. It is a deliberate tactic that builds a level of suspense, at least if it is a long march. It was perfected, among others, by Gandhi when he did his Salt March. The whole point is to achieve a cycle of public notice, cycle of media coverage that goes on for a long time, that has a conclusion, that almost invites the opposition to be there and to be captured doing what the opposition is likely to do. And there's King marching. No bell tails? Not exactly. He's got on a pair of boots. He has on a nice looking Elmer Fudd hat. He's looking sharp, and he's looking sharp because he has a long walk. He's going to have a long way to go over a lot of days. It's cold, and that's why he has the ear flaps. He is standing, by the way, at the other end. He's standing near James Luther Bevel, and for those of you who saw the film about King, that is the character that was played by Common in that film. I said his feet were going to hurt. Well, here he is. Is this the dignified Dr. King that you imagine when we all talk about the stamp and we act like it was a foregone conclusion that this man was going to be an icon, a legend in our time? Or is this what it looks like to actually be in a struggle, to actually be doing the nuts and bolts, to actually have to walk all that distance? Now, it is Friday afternoon, so I apologize for one or two of the other images here. Looks a little worn out. That's the image I apologize for. That's what's going to happen to your feet when you have to walk a long way for a long time because you believe in something and because that's what you have to do to get where you're trying to go. And there will be resistance. These are lunch counters. And for those of you who remember, one of the great showdowns in the civil rights movement occurred at lunch counters that were not integrated. This is what the opposition can look like. And I don't say that by virtue of their race. I say that by virtue of their attitude, which should be pretty obvious. These gentlemen have a sign that says, "We resolve to stand up in the face of intimidation." Well, I think you just saw intimidation. And this is what came after. Idealistic students took the chairs, refused to leave, and the counter was theirs. And eventually, that counter was theirs for real. People here are going to do something that's a little unusual for prosecutors, although it never should have been unusual, which is that they're going to stick up for poor people. And when you stick up for poor people and treat them equally with people who are affluent, or people of means, there will be that kind of resistance, those faces staring at you for various different reasons and telling you this doesn't feel familiar, this is different, we're not so sure about this. And there's King. He's not wearing his Nobel tux here. He's wearing the same overalls as James Foreman Sr. wore, because especially in his later days, he was all about the issue of poverty and the issue of poor people. Is that the serene Dr. King, the one who has achieved so much, the one who's become an icon? Or is that someone who looks like he's having a bad day? Well, every one of you, in your quest to be a part of what I consider the most important civil rights movement of our time, you're going to have a bad day. But that's the point. That's the point. You have come to the battle line not to watch. You've come to the battle line to be part of it. And that's an amazing thing when the battle is arguably the most important civil rights battle of our time. And yes, there will be consequences. That of Rosa Parks having her fingerprints taken. And now, one of my favorite shots, that is Dr. King, who in this image really is learning how in the most difficult, dangerous, damaging situations to be serene, to convey that wisdom, to look like the icon that over decades in our minds he certainly has become. Turns out lawyers get involved in movements too. This one happens to be Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall was arguably the finest attorney and the most accomplished attorney of his century. He had been in front of the Supreme Court over 20 times. By his early 30s, he had won nearly every case as counsel for the NAACP's Legal Defense Fund, and he ascended to the United States Supreme Court. And just by way of footnote, because we can't do this without a footnote, in the running, when he was selected, was Leon Higginbotham. He was one of the people that Lyndon Johnson considered for that position on the Supreme Court, and the replacement for Leon Higginbotham when he retired from the Third Circuit is sitting right here. Am I correct in that? You are. All right, I got something right. When I say these things, I actually mean them very sincerely. I understand it may sound a little bit corny at times to you, but let me give you just a nuts and bolts example. One of the policies of this office, because we are in the most incarcerated country in the world. We are in an extreme, punitive and retributive system. We are in a place that has 9 or 10 times as many people in jail proportionally as Germany, and also has 9 or 10 times as much crime. So it doesn't actually seem to be working perfectly. This is why I say this is, in many ways, the civil rights issue of our time. We are either going to keep building jails and keep tearing down schools, or we're going to go a different direction. And the ones who are going to stand up in court and look at that policy which says, remind the judge, if you're asking for jail time, how much that jail time costs. That policy is there for a reason. The reason is to make you, as attorneys, think about whether it really is legitimate to want 6 months or a year or 25 years. And in many cases, it will be legitimate to want that time. But if you calculate the math on that and it's sticking in your throat as you go to argue it, then you need to think again. And in exactly the same fashion, it is a respectful reminder to the bench that as they make decisions about sentencing people, the decisions they are making are decisions that trade a year in jail for another public school teacher for a year, or a firefighter for a year, or a treatment specialist for a year in a country that needs its education and needs its specialists and does not need as many people in jail. So, without belaboring the point further, I'm very excited to be able to introduce you to the class that we have here. Now, they are in two groups. The first group is the group of attorneys who all were trained together starting shortly after Labor Day. They are overwhelmingly new attorneys in the sense that they are freshly out of law school, but sprinkled in are a few attorneys who are hired mid-career. The second group will be people who were hired during the year but have not been sworn in ceremonially, officially yet. And we will go in those two sections. As I call your name, would you please rise? And then I'm going to try to keep up with the clicker. Madeline Abry Kapani. Is that you? Okay. Madeline Abry Kapani joins us from American University Washington College of Law, where she was a mock trial honor society member. Prior to that, she graduated cum laude from Emerson College. Additionally, she previously spent time as a law clerk for Special Olympics International. Paul Adamski. Well, if he's not here, we still like him. Paul Adamski joins us from the University of Texas Law School, where he worked as a criminal appeals law clerk at the Travis County DA's office. Before law school, Paul graduated magna cum laude from Texas A&M University and went on to complete his master's degree in philosophy at the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee. Tony Ahmed. Mr. Ahmed joins us from Temple University Beasley School of Law, where he earned his LLM. Prior to that, Tony earned his JD from the University of Toledo, as well as his bachelor's degree from the Pennsylvania State University. Joshua Barnett. If you could all remain standing, I would appreciate it. Thank you. You know what? I'm sorry. People won't be able to see. If you could all have a seat after I call your name. Mr. Barnett joins us from Georgetown University Law Center, where he worked as a student attorney at the Georgetown University Law Center Criminal Justice Clinic. He earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Mississippi. Zachary Barnett joins us from Villanova University, Charles Widger School of Law. You're not related, right?
Not related. No.
Okay. Where he worked as an instructor at the Georgetown Street Law program. Additionally, oh my goodness. It's a movement. I didn't say it'd be smooth. Additionally, he earned his bachelor's degree from the Ohio State University. You want to do it? All right. We have a specialist involved now. Teresa Benavides Sexton joins us from Drexel University Thomas R. Klein School of Law. Prior to law school, Teresa earned her master's degree in interdisciplinary health sciences at Drexel University College of Medicine and her bachelor's degree at California State University. Daniel Bergman. Daniel joins us from Emory University School of Law. Prior to Emory, Dan earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Toronto. Isaac Berhane. Mr. Berhane joins us from Stanford Law School. Additionally, he earned his Master of Theological Studies from Harvard Divinity School and graduated cum laude with a bachelor's degree from the University of Connecticut. Angela Brennan. Angela Brennan joins us from the Howard University School of Law. Additionally, she graduated cum laude with a bachelor's degree also from Howard University. Patrick Cothern. All right, Mr. Cothern joins us from, at least in spirit, from the University of Michigan Law School, where he worked as a student attorney at the Michigan Innocence Clinic. He also graduated cum laude with a bachelor's degree from Florida State University. Sarah Del Balzo joins us from Harvard Law School. Prior to Harvard, Sarah graduated magna cum laude with a bachelor's degree from Wellesley College. Matthew Delbridge joins us from UCLA School of Law. Additionally, he graduated cum laude with a bachelor's degree from Kenyon College, where he was a pitcher on the varsity baseball team. Lindsay Dennis joins us from Georgetown University Law Center. Prior to Georgetown, they earned a bachelor's degree from Willamette University. Thank you. University. Ashika Desai, thank you. Joins us from the UCLA School of Law, where she was a legal volunteer at the Immigration Clinic. Before UCLA, Ashika graduated summa cum laude with a bachelor's degree from Vanderbilt University. Nicole Elmer joins us from the Emory University School of Law. Prior to Emory, Nicole earned her bachelor's degree from Texas A&M University. Jonathan Eubank joins us from Harvard Law School, where he served as co-editor-in-chief of the Harvard Law and Policy Review. Additionally, Jonathan graduated magna cum laude with his bachelor's degree from Brown University. Sydney Filko joins us from the Northwestern Pritzker School of Law, where she served as managing production editor for the Northwestern Journal of Law and Social Policy. Prior to that, she graduated magna cum laude with a bachelor's degree from the George Washington University. Trey Flynn joins us from the University of Georgia Law School. Additionally, he earned 2 separate bachelor's degrees in political science and history, also from the University of Georgia. Kevin Frankel joins us from Boston College Law School, where he served as editor of the Boston College Law and Religion Review. Kevin also earned his bachelor's degree from State College of New York at Genesco. Sergio Glajar. Oh man, okay. Sergio Glajar joins us from the Emory University School of Law. Prior to Emory, Sergio graduated magna cum laude with his bachelor's degree from St. Edward's University. Aaron Graham joins us from North Carolina Central University School of Law. And fisherman with conscientious customers. And if I'm not mistaken, the family is in the fishing business in Alaska. Pernell Jackson joins us from American University Washington College of Law, where he served as senior staff on the American University Law Review. Additionally, he earned his bachelor's degree from Florida State University. Before attending law school, Pernell spent 5 years serving in the U.S. Army as a signals intelligence analyst in Fort Hood, Texas, and then spent another 5 years serving as a police officer in the Prince George's County Police Department in Palmer Park, Maryland. India James Flemister joins us from American University Washington College of Law. Prior to American, India earned her bachelor's degree from the University of Georgia. Caroline Jameson joins us from Georgetown University Law Center, where she worked as a student attorney at the Georgetown University Law Center Domestic Violence Clinic. Additionally, she graduated cum laude with her bachelor's degree from the University of Florida. Kelton Jenkins joins us from the University of Wisconsin Law School, where he served as note and comment editor on the Wisconsin International Law Journal. Prior to that, he graduated cum laude with his bachelor's degree from Lawrence University. Alexander Kane joins us from University of Minnesota Law School. Alexander graduated summa cum laude from the University of Pittsburgh, then worked at Metro-Goldwyn Mayer Studios in Beverly Hills and at the Foundation for Sustainable Development in India prior to attending law school. Max Kaplan joins us from New York University School of Law. He also graduated magna cum laude with his bachelor's degree from Columbia University. He is an associate attorney at Cozen O'Connor, participating in a secondment program with our office. Arlen Caton joins us from the University of California, Berkeley School of Law. They joined the Conviction Integrity Unit on June 24th. Arlen is coming to us following a 2-year clerkship with Judge Lucretia Clemens at the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas. Brian Keene joins us from the University of Virginia School of Law, where he served as Articles Development Editor for the Virginia Journal of Criminal Law. Prior to law school, Brian earned his bachelor's degree from the College of William & Mary. Most recently, he worked as an assistant public defender at the Montgomery County Public Defender's Office. Claire Keneally joins us from the University of Colorado Law School. Claire earned her bachelor's degree from the University of Southern California. Before attending law school, Claire owned and operated her own land company in Denver, Colorado, negotiating wind energy projects and wind leases. Omar Khwaja joins us from the University of Texas School of Law, where he served as submissions editor for the Texas International Law Journal. Prior to that, Omar earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan. Jessica King joins us from Temple University Beasley School of Law. Before law school, Jessica earned her bachelor's degree from Lindsey Wilson College. Elias Cohn joins us from Lewis and Clark Law School. Prior to that, Elias graduated magna cum laude with his bachelor's degree from the University of Southern California and then earned his master's in environmental management from Yale University. Joseph Lanuti joins us from Georgetown University Law Center, where he served as senior annual survey editor of the Annual Survey of White-Collar Crime. Additionally, Joseph earned his bachelor's degree from St. John's College. Helen Lawless joins us from Stanford Law School, where she served as a senior editor on the Stanford Law Review. Prior to that, Helen earned her bachelor's degree from the University College Dublin, then spent several years as a fundraiser for Human Dignity Trust, an NGO in the United Kingdom working to decriminalize homosexuality. Andrew Lay joins us from the University of Pennsylvania Law School, where he earned his JD, as well as a master's in criminology and a bachelor's degree in psychology. Dana Kai L. Macbeth joins us from Fordham University School of Law. After earning her bachelor's degree from Howard University, she worked as a social media manager for FEMA and as a freelance video journalist for Queens Public Television. Martin McLemore joins us from Washington University St. Louis School of Law. Prior to that, Martin graduated summa cum laude from Portland State University. Danielle Newsom joins us from Temple University Beasley School of Law, where she graduated cum laude. Additionally, she earned her bachelor's degree from Cornell University. For the past 3 years, Danielle worked as a staff attorney at Health Professionals and Allied Employees, AFT, and is joining the office as our labor liaison in the Economic Crimes Unit. Kristen Patchell joins us from Temple University, Beasley School of Law. Additionally, she earned her master's degree in English from Villanova University, as well as her bachelor's degree from Penn State University, Abington College. Yusuf Paray joins us from Vanderbilt University Law School, where he simultaneously earned his master's degree in finance. Additionally, Yusuf earned his master's of philosophy from the University of Cambridge and his bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan. Priscilla Pelly joins us from Temple University Beasley School of Law. Prior to law school, Priscilla earned her master's degree in public policy from Georgetown University, as well as her bachelor's degree from the University of Texas at Austin. While in D.C., she also worked in the office of Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid of Nevada. Donovan Rogers joins us from the Southern University Law Center, where he worked as a student attorney at the Southern University Law Clinic. Prior to that, Donovan earned his bachelor's degree from Mississippi State University, then worked for Mental Health Management Services Incorporated in Bessemer, Alabama. And unless I am mistaken, Mr. Rogers also worked for almost a decade as a corrections officer. That is incorrect? That's your brother then. Okay. This is why I shouldn't go off script. Raul Rojo joins us from the Georgetown University Law Center. Additionally, Raul earned his bachelor's degree from Florida International University, as well as his associate's degree from the Miami-Dade College. He spent a year working as a fraud investigator for an auto insurance company prior to attending law school. Samantha Sanford joins us from the University of Texas School of Law, where she served as a staff editor for the Texas Environmental Law Journal and the Texas Journal on Civil Liberties and Civil Rights. Before attending law school, she earned her bachelor's degree from American University and spent a few years as a litigation paralegal with the PETA, that's P-E-T-A, Foundation in Washington, D.C. Christian Schlachty joins us from the UCLA School of Law. Prior to law school, Christian graduated summa cum laude with both a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in political science from Boston University. Jacqueline Scott joins us from Vanderbilt University Law School. Additionally, Jacqueline graduated cum laude with her bachelor's degree also from Vanderbilt. Aidan Spencer joins us from North Carolina Central University School of Law. Prior to law school, Aidan graduated cum laude with his bachelor's degree from Appalachian State University. Rebecca Steck joins us from the University of Wisconsin Law School, where she served as president of the Legal Assistance for Disaster Relief. Prior to that, Rebecca also earned her bachelor's degree from the University of Wisconsin. Frances Shannon Sweeney joins us from Temple University Beasley School of Law. Prior to that, Shannon earned his bachelor's degree from the College of the Holy Cross. Additionally, Shannon is an active member of the U.S. Navy Reserves. Yelizaveta Vase joins us from Temple University Beasley School of Law. Before law school, Liz earned her bachelor's degree at the Pennsylvania State University. Tiffany Watson joins us from the DePaul University College of Law. Most recently, she has worked as a staff attorney at the National District Attorneys Association in Arlington, Virginia, as well as working as a volunteer attorney at the DC Volunteer Lawyers Project in Washington, D.C. She also spent several years as an assistant district attorney in Franklin County here in Pennsylvania. Catherine Wood joins us from Drexel University Thomas R. Klein School of Law. Prior to law school, she earned her bachelor's degree from the Pennsylvania State University. Tracy Yim joins us from Vanderbilt University Law School. Okay, hang on a second here. Catherine Wood joins us. No, we're on Tracy Yim. Okay. Tracy Yim joins us from Vanderbilt University Law School. Additionally, Tracy earned her bachelor's from Emory University. All right, thank you. And now I would like to very briefly, without quite so much explanation, go through the individuals who were hired mid-year and were not trained as a group this September. And they are Jessica Baker, Clark Belgene, Tom Bello, Rachel Black, please rise if your name is called, Don Burns, Hermione Cadet, Simran Dillon, Christine Einerson, Lakeisha Fields Robinson, Tom Gaeta, Marty Glynn, Dara Lee Hamilton, Justin Holmes, Jordan King, Eli Klein, Michael C. Lee, Sarah Lichter, Kyle Leonardo, Dan Margolski, Zach Mattioni, Megan McDonald, David Napiorski, Sean Perez, Jason Sam, Molly Schumer, Cole Stevens, David Stock, Kylie Thompson, Christian Wynn. Your Honor, I have completed my mission a little later than expected, but I leave them in your capable hands. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and very successfully completed it, too. An amazing group of folks. I'll ask you to stand so that I can administer the oath to you. Some of these sentences are long, so I'm going to try to chop them up. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm. I do solemnly swear or affirm. I knew you'd say that. You either say I do solemnly swear or you say I do solemnly affirm. but he always says I do solemnly swear or affirm. All right. Moving along. Despite your incredible academic success and intellect, the district attorney has room to work here. I will support the Constitution of the United States.
I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
And the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
I will maintain the respect due to the courts.
I will maintain the respect due to the courts.
Of justice and judicial officers.
Of justice and judicial officers.
I will not counsel or maintain any suit or proceeding.
I will not counsel or maintain any suit or proceeding.
Which shall appear to me to be unjust.
Which shall appear to me to be unjust.
Or any defense except such as I believe to be honestly debatable under the law of the land. Should I do that again?
Yes.
I'll break it up. Or any defense.
Or any defense.
Except such as I believe.
Except such as I believe.
To be honestly debatable.
To be honestly debatable.
Under the law of the land.
Under the law of the land.
Much better. I will employ for the purpose of maintaining.
I will employ for the purpose of maintaining.
The causes confided to me.
The causes confided to me.
Such means only as are consistent.
Such means as only are consistent.
With truth and honor.
With truth and honor.
And will never seek to mislead the judge.
And will never seek to mislead the judge.
Or jury.
Or jury.
By any artifice or false statement of fact or law.
By any artifice or false statement of fact or law.
I will maintain the confidence and preserve the inviolate secrets.
I will maintain the confidence and preserve the inviolate secrets.
Of my client.
of my client,
you're being tested, and will accept no compensation
and will accept no compensation
in connection with my client's business,
in connection with my client's business,
except from my client
except from my client
or with my client's knowledge and approval.
or with my client's knowledge and approval.
I will abstain from all offensive personality
I will abstain from all offensive personality
and advance no fact prejudicial
and will advance no fact prejudicial
to the honor or reputation of a party or witness,
to the honor or reputation of a party or witness,
unless required by the justice of the cause
unless required by the justice of the cause
with which I am charged.
with which I am charged.
And finally, I will never reject,
I will never reject,
from any consideration personal to myself,
from any consideration personal to myself,
the cause of the defenseless or oppressed,
the cause of the defenseless or oppressed,
or delay any person's cause
or delay any person's cause
for lucre or malice.
for lucre or malice.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. As I was watching the film that the district attorney was running through, it struck me that probably a very small number, none of the new attorneys and many of the old attorneys were not alive during the times that he was mentioning. But I'm convinced that the more you get into your jobs and the deeper you go into your jobs, although you may not see the relationship of what he was saying today to what your duties are, you're going to see it. And it's a very poignant message that you are being given. And if it was lost on you today, it will not be long lost on you. It's a very important message, and it's a very important mission that you're embarking upon. And I'm honored, and it is a real privilege to be with you here today. You are about to embark on what may be the most exciting and rewarding phase of your career, which is ironic because for most of you, you are relatively new attorneys and you're just beginning your career. You will have immense power. You will have the power to help improve the communities in Philadelphia. You will have the power to improve the quality of life of the people in those communities, but you will also have the power to destroy those communities and the power to destroy those lives. You have been entrusted with an awesome responsibility, and it's up to you to decide how you're going to handle and discharge yourself and the kind of attorney and prosecutor that you want to be. And I'm going to tell two stories. The first one, it concerns a young person who clerked for me several years ago. He did his year clerkship with me. He left the Circuit Court of Appeals and he went to a city in the Midwest to accept a position as a federal prosecutor there. And he was in town about 4 or 5 months after that, and he called me and he said we wanted to have lunch. And I said, what's wrong? So I could hear in his voice that he was troubled. He said, I'm just not sure I can do the work that I wanted so much to do. I wanted to be a career prosecutor. I'm not sure I can do it. And I said, I've seen your work. You worked with me very closely for a year. I've seen your research. I've seen your writing. I know you can do the work. What in the world is going on? And he said, well, you just finished a successful prosecution, and it was really troubling him. And I said, did you win or did you lose? And I said, well, I won the case. And I knew exactly where he was going, and I said, well, we don't need to do dinner. We need to do lunch. So I met him that night for lunch. And he elaborated that when the defendant whom he got in a conviction for was sentenced, the defendant turned around, put his hands behind his back in that all too familiar position that you're going to become very accustomed to, as handcuffs were put on him, and he was led out of the courtroom as his wife and family remained in the courtroom crying. And Larry said, as the defendant was taken away, it struck him that there, but for a very few quirks of fortune, that could have been him being led out of that courtroom. And I told him that his reaction was exactly the right reaction. He should have been bothered by that. And that when he stopped being bothered, that's when he should call me and tell me he's not sure he's cut out to be a prosecutor. The fact that he's bothered by it means that he is cut out to be a prosecutor. He's in exactly the right place. And I said, look, when you can do that and it doesn't bother you at all, the fact you're removing someone from their families, from the community, and locking them up for a long period of years in a prison, when that no longer bothers you, then you call me, and I'll do what I can do to get you into, to help you with the private practice and transitioning into something outside the field of criminal justice. And I say that to stress to you that your job, if you do it correctly, is an incredibly difficult one. You're going to see the underbelly of society, and you're going to have regular, perhaps daily contacts with segments of the community that are very unpleasant. You're going to have experiences that can impact who you are. They can impact the view you have of society and the view you have of others. Trying to remain objective, fair, and respectful when you are constantly exposed to mindless violence and victimization of innocent people can change how you see the community and how you see yourselves. For 3 of my more than 10 years on the Court of Common Pleas here in Philadelphia, I was assigned to hear nothing but homicide trials. At the time, both of my daughters were relatively young. I think one was 6 and one was 10 when I first went into the homicide unit. And it took a very, very deep emotional toll on me because of the kind of incredible victimization and insanity, and it is insanity in terms of the cruelty that you see. It affects how you see others, how you see yourself, and how you see your family, and how you relate to loved ones. Now, of course, none of you are going to be doing homicide trials right away, not for quite some time. But nevertheless, the same pollution of spirit can happen to each of you, because although you will not soon be faced with emotions surrounding homicides, you're going to experience a part of society that you may well have never experienced before. You will often interact on a regular and personal basis with people who are about as far away from the concept of social privilege as you can possibly imagine. Whether it be the victims of crime or the perpetrators of crime, it is absolutely crucial to your professional careers and to who you are as a person and your personal development that you not lose sight of the humanity and the dignity of the people you come into contact with and who are involved in the criminal justice system, on all sides of the criminal justice system. Almost all of the defendants whom you are going to help incarcerate will one day be released back into society. If defendants leave prisons more damaged, more broken, more dehumanized, and more devalued than they may have been when they went in, our communities will not be any safer when they come out. Indeed, the communities will be more dangerous when they come out. Our communities will only be safer when people who have paid their debt to society return to their communities with as much self-respect as is possible and with as much dignity as possible, given the circumstances of their incarceration. And I want to relay a story to you, and this has nothing to do with patting myself on the back. That's not the reason I'm telling you this. I remember very vividly a situation I had when it was a waiver trial, waiver trial, not stipulated trial, where, as you know, for attorneys, the defendant gives up the right to a jury trial and they present the facts to the judge, and the judge sits as both judge and jury and decides guilt. After the trial was over, I found him guilty of second-degree murder, and I explained to him that he had the right to a pre-sentence report, but that under Pennsylvania law, there's only one sentence I could possibly impose for second-degree murder. It's life. Life imprisonment was mandatory. Life meant life. He was not going to get paroled. He was going to die in prison. Nevertheless, having said that, knowing the sentence I had to impose upon him, I said to him, you have a statutory right to a pre-sentence report. I can put your sentencing off for 6 or 7 months or so. I'll order the pre-sentence report, but I can tell you right now what it's going to say, and you're going to see scores of these. It's going to tell me you have a mixed personality disorder, you grew up in a poor and impoverished community, you probably did not know who your father was, and didn't have any interaction with any adult role model whom you viewed as being positive. You didn't graduate from high school. And I said, does that sound like you? And he said, well, I don't know what a mixed personality disorder is, but that sounds like me. And I said, well, I can get you that pre-sentence report. Some psychologists and probation folks will talk to you and give me that report, or I can just proceed to impose the same sentence right now. And he said, well, Judge, if you're going to sentence me to life, you might as well do that right now. And I said, okay, we'll move to sentencing. As part of the sentencing, you have what's called a right of allocution, which means you can say anything to me right now that you think I should hear as part of the sentencing process. Anything you want me to know about you, it's your absolute right to say it right now. And it's the right of allocution, and the law can't take that away from you, even though the sentence I'm about to impose is going to be mandatory. If you have anything you want to say to me, he looked up at me and he goes, Judge, I just want to say thank you. And I thought for a minute. I almost fell off my chair, and I said, well, help me understand, why are you thanking me? I just told you I'm about to impose a sentence that's going to put you in prison for the rest of your life. You're going to die in prison. Why are you thanking me? And he said, well, Judge, in the week and a half or so we've had on this trial, you have treated me with respect. And it's really the only time in my life, and he was about 35, older than a lot of defendants in homicide. it's really the only time in my life I've been constantly treated like a man and with respect and someone who's afforded me dignity. I want to thank you for that. And I said, you know, that's a hell of a thing, and it may well be that had someone treated you with respect before, you may not be here. And he looked up at me, and at this point he was almost crying, and I wasn't too far from it myself. And he said, Judge, I was thinking about that this morning as I was coming into court. I knew you were going to convict me. I was guilty. You know, you do your job, I know I was going to be found guilty. But I couldn't help but think that had I been treated with the kind of courtesy and respect that you've shown me, I may not ever have come to this. And I share that with you in hope that it helps you understand the impact that you have, not just on the victims and their families, but the compassion that you can, and the compassion you can show them, but also the impact you can have on those you prosecute and those who are incarcerated because of your efforts. You can forcefully prosecute without demeaning the people you are prosecuting. This is not about good guys versus bad guys. It is certainly not about winning at all costs. That is the worst kind of mindset you can have. That approach will not make the streets any safer whatsoever. It may, in fact, make them less safe. Carried to its logical extreme, that approach gives rise to the kind of abuses and shortcuts that results in the wrong person being imprisoned for a crime they did not commit, while the actual perpetrator goes free to victimize others. I also want to impress upon you one of the most important things you can do to improve the criminal justice system. It does not require a law degree, does not require the incredible intellect that each of you currently clearly has. It doesn't require any knowledge of criminal law or courtroom procedure. It only requires that you get to know yourself, but that is not nearly as easy as it may sound. And I say only requires that. But doing that can be difficult, and it also can be unpleasant. Although it is critically important that you treat everyone involved in the criminal justice system with dignity and respect, you cannot do that unless you first examine your own motivations and your emotions and get to know yourself. Why do I say that? It is no secret that the criminal justice system is far from perfect, and that those caught up in it are disproportionately Black, Latino, and poor. It is also no secret that the criminal justice system is not immune from the pernicious poisons of racism and bias. The studies on this are voluminous, and it requires no leap of faith to accept the conclusion. However, it is much harder to accept the fact that each of us, and I include myself in this, each of us are exposed to social messages from the day we were born that poison our own minds and affect us with subliminal biases that can impact how we see each other, how we see ourselves, and how we see those in the communities that we serve. Each of us is infected with the unavoidable bias that we are taught from the time we first become aware of our surroundings. The images we receive from the mass media, the conclusions we draw from observing the impact of disproportionate privilege and the disproportionate distribution of privilege, these all bombard us with subtle messages that cause us to prejudge people who are less fortunate and whose appearance is different from our own. There's a wonderful song in an amazing play, Avenue Q, which some of you may have heard. And the lyrics, the first part of the lyrics begin as follows. And the name of the song is Everyone's a Little Bit Racist. It's true. Everyone's a little bit racist sometimes. It doesn't mean we go around committing hate crimes, but look around and you will find no one's really colorblind. It's a basic fact we all should face. Everyone makes judgment based upon race. You must guard against letting your daily interaction with people in less fortunate communities of color color your view of who lives in those communities. If you are not careful, you can easily develop a very jaundiced view of the people you will interact with that can affect how you treat them. It is particularly important to be aware of this dynamic when you are picking juries. In this day and age, a juror will rarely exhibit overt bias towards anyone of a different race or ethnicity. You can do a great deal to adjust the likelihood of fairness in the criminal justice system just by doing what you can to be sure that any jurors that you help select are comprised not of people without bias, because as I hope I've convinced you, that's an impossibility. But you can work to get people on the jury who, though they may be biased, as we all are, will work against their bias and work to prevent any bias they may harbor from impacting their deliberations, so that the verdicts will be reached only upon the evidence presented in the courtroom, and not because of the appearance or the class or caste of the defendant or the victim. Of course, the vast majority of the trials will be waiver trials at first, It is even more important to treat defendants and witnesses and victims with courtesy in that context for the reasons that I've just mentioned in my story about my homicide defendant. I cannot overemphasize that your job is not to win, but to fairly present the evidence to a fact finder, and to do so in a way that minimizes the possibility that the fact finder will reach a decision based upon something other than the evidence presented. Perhaps I can best summarize everything I want you to understand by quoting from Justice Sutherland in an opinion he wrote in 1935 in a case called Berger versus United States. It's a quote that some of you no doubt may be familiar with, but it's well worth repeating and emphasizing. Writing for the court, Justice Sutherland said, and I want to apologize for the masculine pronoun, this was written in 1985, and there was no concept of using a gender-neutral pronoun at the time. Justice Sutherland wrote, "The prosecutor is the representative not of an ordinary party to a controversy, but to a sovereignty whose obligation to govern is as compelling as its obligation to govern fairly at all, and whose interest, therefore, in a criminal prosecution is not that it shall win a case, but that justice shall be done. As such, he is in a peculiar and very definite sense the servant of the law, the twofold aim of which is not that the guilty is that the guilty shall not escape and that the innocent shall not suffer. He may prosecute with earnestness and vigor, indeed he should do so, but while he may strike hard blows, he is not at liberty to strike foul ones. It is as much his duty to refrain from improper methods calculated to produce a wrongful conviction as it is to use every legitimate means to bring about a just one. The job you have been selected to do is one of the most important in the city of Philadelphia. Each of you has a very real opportunity to make a difference, and I'm confident that you will. I wish each of you the very best of luck as you embark upon this new and exciting career. I'm honored to be here to help you begin this new career, and I thank very much District Attorney Krasner for allowing me to share this day with you. And I again wish you, as I said, the very, very best of luck as you proceed into your legal careers. Perhaps one day I'll have the privilege of having you honor or argue in front of me down the street at the Federal Courthouse. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to our new attorneys. Congratulations to their loved ones, their families, their partners, their buddies. We have a reception now in a beautiful facility that is very close by. It is less than a block away, maybe even less than 50 yards away if we all exit at the proper elevator. It's located at 30 South 15th Street, also known as the Graham Building on the 15th floor. I think if you just follow the line of people going, that line will lead you where we need to go, and we sincerely hope you will join us for food and drink, celebration, and an opportunity for all of us to get to know each other. Thank you very much.
Having no further business, this court stands adjourned until the call of prior. Thank you very much.
Beautifully done. Beautifully done.